Perhaps the last place most people would think to look for signs of the second coming of Jesus Christ is the Jewish calendar. After all, the Jewish faith does not recognize Jesus as the Messiah. Yet, many scholars, teachers, and Bible students are turning to that very calendar to gain insight into when the return of Christ could take place. The reason this is possible is because Christianity and Judaism share thousands of years of common history. From the creation of the world to the days of Adam, Abraham, Moses, and the prophets, both faith traditions overlapped for roughly 4,000 years until the earthly ministry of Jesus Christ. The Bible offers strong symbolic patterns that suggest such a timeline. From the very beginning, God established a rhythm of 6 days of work, followed by a seventh day of rest. This structure does not simply govern the week, but also, according to many interpretations, serves as a model for human history itself. Jewish writings, such as Sanhedrin 9:7a, describe the world as enduring 6 millennia of ordinary human labor before entering a messianic Sabbath of 1,000 years. In Christian writings, we see similar imagery. 2 Peter 3:2-8 reminds readers that for the Lord 1 day is as 1,000 years, and Revelation chapter 20 describes a literal 1,000-year reign following the final judgment. Together, these passages suggest that history follows 6,000 years of struggle and activity, culminating in a 7th millennium of rest, blessing, and divine reign. If we think of each 1,000-year period as a day of creation week, then we begin to understand why Jews and Christians alike anticipate a pivotal moment near the close of the 6th millennium. Both groups look to a Messiah, Jews anticipating his arrival, and Christians expecting his return. This shared pattern forms the foundation for using the Jewish calendar to evaluate prophetic expectations. Unlike our modern Gregorian calendar, which was developed for secular and seasonal reasons, the Jewish calendar is designed with biblical events and history in mind. It is a lunisolar calendar, carefully balancing lunar months with solar years, and accounts time from creation itself. The Jewish calendar tracks what is known as Anno Mundi, or a year of the world, beginning from Adam. According to the official Jewish calendar, the current year is 5785 AM, which began in October of 2024 with Rosh Hashanah and will end in September of 2025. If we take this number at face value, it suggests that humanity is still more than 2 centuries away from the 6,000-year milestone. But prophecy watchers point out a problem. The official Jewish chronology is known to be shorter than actual history. Scholars have identified what they call the Persian gap, a compression of years during the Persian Empire that took place in rabbinic records. According to these records, the time from Cyrus the Great to Alexander the Great was listed as only 52 years. Historical sources, however, including Babylonian chronicles, Greek histories, and even astronomical data, confirm that this period lasted closer to 207 years. By shortening this period, early rabbis may have been attempting to align Jewish chronology with particular prophetic interpretations, such as those connected to the rebuilding of the Temple in Jerusalem. But the compression of Persian history is not the only issue. Gaps also appear in early genealogies and in the post-exilic period. When these missing years are accounted for, the Jewish calendar is not 5785, but rather closer to 5940 to 5985 AM. This is not a minor correction. It means that according to biblical and historical evidence combined, we are potentially standing within mere decades of the 6,000-year mark. This adjustment dramatically changes the way prophecy timelines are understood. To make this correction, historians and theologians rely on multiple forms of evidence. They align the reigns of Persian kings with Greek and Babylonian records, confirm archaeological discoveries such as the Cyrus Cylinder and temple remains in Jerusalem, and even cross-check astronomical records of eclipses and planetary alignments mentioned in ancient chronicles. These pieces of evidence converge to suggest that the Jewish calendar has been undercounted by roughly 160 to 200 years. By restoring those years, the timeline of history brings us very close to a potential prophetic climax. If today we are in the range of 5940 to 5985 AM, then the 6,000-year point is not centuries away, but rather 15 to 60 years in the future. This framework makes the Jewish calendar a powerful lens for viewing prophecy. In particular, it provides a reference point for Daniel's 70 weeks prophecy and the expected 7-year tribulation before the return of Christ. When these elements are combined, The timeline suggests that the final 7-year period could begin anywhere from 8 to 53 years from now, meaning sometime between 2033 and 2073. The end of that period, representing the second coming and the beginning of the millennium, would then fall between 2040 and 2085 AD. What makes this analysis unique is not simply its attempt to set a date, but rather the way it integrates biblical symbolism, Jewish tradition, historical correction, and astronomical verification. The Jewish calendar was designed to connect time with biblical truth, and while the official version may have compressed history, correcting it creates a timeline that aligns with both scripture and history. It preserves the 6-day, 6-millennium pattern of labor, followed by a 7th-day millennium of rest. It reflects the belief of both Jews and Christians that history is moving toward a messianic climax. It also provides a convergence of history, prophecy, and science that gives a deeply meaningful context for our present moment. When viewed this way, the Jewish calendar is not just an ethnic religious system, but a prophetic measuring stick that carries weight for anyone studying the Bible. It demonstrates that while no one knows the exact day or hour, the broad season of history can be discerned. The corrected dates indicate that the second coming is not a distant abstraction, but an event pressing close on the horizon. This is why so many people in both faiths feel an urgency about our times. The sense that we are living at the edge of the 6th millennium and about to enter the 7th is not born of imagination, but arises from careful study of scripture, history, and calendars designed to preserve the flow of God's plan across the ages. For those who seek to understand prophecy, the Jewish calendar provides a compelling tool. It helps reconcile the 6,000-year model with the realities of recorded history. It places us in a timeline that is far more advanced than the Gregorian calendar suggests. And it offers a framework that is consistent with both Jewish and Christian teachings about the Messiah and the millennial age. By accounting for the Persian gap and genealogical compressions, the calendar moves us from 5,785 AM to the much more significant 5940598. 5 AM, a range that leaves us standing on the threshold of prophetic fulfillment. This convergence of evidence shows how ancient wisdom, sacred scripture, and modern historical analysis can work together. It paints a picture of human history as a divine week, with 6,000 years of labor giving way to a 7th millennium of rest and peace. And it underscores why so many people believe that the second coming is near, not as speculation, but as a reasonable conclusion from the most accurate calendaring possible.